Michigan Constitution of 1963, Article 4, Section 7. Each senator and representative must be a citizen of the United States, at least 21 years of age, and an elector of the district he represents. The removal of his domicile from the district shall be deemed a vacation of the office. No person who has been convicted of subversion, or who has within the preceding 20 years been convicted of a felony involving a breach of public trust, shall be eligible for either house of the legislature. Section 8. No person holding any office, employment, or position under the United States, or this state, or a political subdivision thereof, except notaries public, and members of the Armed Forces Reserve, may be a member of either house of the legislature. Section 9. No person elected to the legislature shall receive any civil appointment within the state from the governor, except notaries public, from the legislature, or from any other state authority, during the term for which he is elected. Section 10. 1. No member of the legislature, nor any state officer, shall be interested directly or indirectly in any contract with the state or any political subdivision thereof, which shall cause a substantial conflict of interest. 2. By April 15, 2024, and by a date each year thereafter, as prescribed by state law, each member of the legislature, the governor, the lieutenant governor, the secretary of state, and the attorney general shall electronically file an annual financial disclosure report with the Department of State that complies with this section. A report required to be filed under this section must include information regarding all of the following: A. Description of assets and sources of unearned income. B. Sources of earned income. C. Description of liabilities. D. Positions currently held as an officer, director, trustee, partner, proprietor, representative, employee, or consultant of any organization, corporation, firm, partnership, or other business enterprise, nonprofit organization, labor organization, or educational or other institution other than the state of Michigan. The positions required to be disclosed under this subdivision do not include positions held in any religious, social, fraternal, or political entity, or positions that are solely of an honorary nature. E. Agreements or arrangements with respect to future employment, a leave of absence while serving as a legislature or state officer, continuation or deferral of payments by a former or current employer other than the state of Michigan, or continuing participation in an employee welfare or benefit plan maintained by a former employer. F. Gifts received and required to be reported by a lobbyist or lobbyist agent as prescribed by state law. G. Travel payments and reimbursements received and required to be reported by a lobbyist or lobbyist agent as prescribed by state law. H. Payments made by a lobbyist or lobbyist agent to a charity in lieu of honoraria. 3. The financial disclosure report required under subsection 2 must be filed with the Department of State in a form and manner prescribed by state law. The Department of State shall make the report available to the public online. 4. The legislature shall further implement this section by appropriate legislation. Legislation implementing this section must not limit or restrict the application of subsections 2 and 3. 5. If legislation implementing this section is not enacted by December 31st, 2023, a resident of this state may initiate a legal action against the legislature and the governor in the Michigan Supreme Court to enforce the requirements of this section. Section 11. Except as provided by law, senators and representatives shall be privileged from civil arrest and civil process during sessions of the legislature, and for 5 days next before the commencement and after the termination thereof. They shall not be questioned in any other place for any speech in either house. Section 12. The State Officers' Compensation Commission is created, which, subject to this section, shall determine the salaries and expense allowances of the members of the legislature, the governor, the lieutenant governor, the attorney general, the secretary of state, and the justices of the Supreme Court. The commission shall consist of 7 members appointed by the governor, whose qualifications may be determined by law, subject to the legislature's ability to amend the commissioner's determinations as provided in this section. The commission shall determine the salaries and expense allowances of the members of the legislature, the governor, the lieutenant governor, the attorney general, the secretary of state, and the justices of the Supreme Court, which determinations shall be the salaries and expense allowances only if the legislature, by concurrent resolution, adopted by a majority of the members elected to and serving in each house of the legislature, approve them. The Senate and House of Representatives shall alternate on which house of the legislature shall originate the concurrent resolution, with the Senate originating the first concurrent resolution. The concurrent resolution may amend the salary and expense determinations of the State Officers' Compensation Commission to reduce the salary and expense determinations by the same proportion for members of the legislature. The Governor, the Lieutenant Governor, the Attorney General, the Secretary of State, and the Justices of the Supreme Court. The legislature shall not amend the salary and expense determinations to reduce them to below the salary and expense level that members of the legislature, the Governor, the Lieutenant Governor, the Attorney General, the Secretary of State, and the Justices of the Supreme Court receive on the date the salary and expense determinations are made. If the salary and expense determinations are approved or amended as provided in this section, the salary and expense determinations shall become effective for the legislative session immediately following the next general election. The Commission shall meet each 2 years for no more than 15 session days. The legislature shall implement this section by law. Section 13. The legislature shall meet at the seat of government on the second Wednesday in January of each year at 12 o'clock noon. Each regular session shall adjourn without day on a day determined by concurrent resolution at 12 o'clock noon. Any business, bill, or joint resolution pending at the final adjournment of a regular session held in an odd-numbered year shall carry over with the same status to the next regular session. Section 14. A majority of the members elected to and serving in each house shall constitute a quorum to do business. A smaller number in each house may adjourn from day to day and may compel the attendance of absent members in the manner and with penalties as each house may prescribe. Section 15. There shall be a bipartisan legislative council consisting of legislators appointed in the manner prescribed by law. The legislature shall appropriate funds for the council's operations and provide for its staff, which shall maintain bill drafting, research, and other services for the members of the legislature. The council shall periodically examine and recommend to the legislature revision of the various laws of the state. Section 16. Each house, except as otherwise provided in this Constitution, shall choose its own officers and determine the rules of its proceedings, but shall not adopt any rule that will prevent a majority of the members elected thereto and serving therein from discharging a committee from the further consideration of any measure. Each house shall be the sole judge of the qualifications, elections, and returns of its members, and may, with the concurrence of 2/3 of all the members elected thereto and serving therein, expel a member. The reasons for such expulsion shall be entered in the journal, with the votes and names of the members voting upon the question. No member shall be expelled a second time for the same cause. Section 17. Each house of the legislature may establish the committees necessary for the efficient conduct of its business, and the legislature may create joint committees. On all occasions, on bills and resolutions in each committee, names and votes of members shall be recorded. Such vote shall be available for public inspection. Notice of all committee hearings and a clear statement of all subjects to be considered at each hearing shall be published in the journal in advance of the hearing. Section 18. Each house shall keep a journal of its proceedings and publish the same unless the public security otherwise requires. The record of the vote and name of the members of either house voting on any question shall be entered in the journal at the request of 1/5 of the members present. Any member of either house may dissent from and protest against any act, proceeding, or resolution which he deems injurious to any person or the public, and have the reason for his dissent entered in the journal. Section 19. All elections in either house or in joint convention and all votes on appointments submitted to the Senate for advice and consent shall be published by vote and name in the journal. Section 20. The doors of each house shall be open unless the public security otherwise requires.